crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadroo.com with your morning horn of these, your sip of chaga coffee. Yesterday, I put out a video. Red alert, U.S. Mint restarts Silver Eagle production and makes 850,000 Silver Eagles last week. Now, they used to report this on a weekly basis. A lot of people saying, well, how do you know it's last week? Maybe they hadn't put anything up in about a month and a half since the first week of September when they put up 830 million ounces. Remember, the weekly, what was it? Let's figure out the weekly production at max capacity. Even before Ventures Gibson, the head of the Mint, said they've expanded capacity, we'll just say it's 50 million divided by 52. So max capacity is 961, and they made 850. Okay, that's pretty good. I'd say bravo, but that's just in a week. What did they do in the last month and a half? Nothing. They haven't done anything. With no announcements. That's the other thing. There's no announcements about why the U.S. Mint is rationing Silver Eagles. Anyway, people were calling me on, Bix, because I said the U.S. Mint has legal obligations to make these silver coins in quantities to meet demand, no matter what. That's the law. And people say, no, they don't have to make it if they choose not to. The secretary gets to decide all this. If they did change it to the secretary gets to decide. But the thing she has to decide is whether or not Silver Eagles are meeting demand. And clearly with 100% premiums, they aren't meeting demand. So that's a moot point. But I do want to play this one part. Wait, first I'm going to tell you, a lot of people said, hey, you keep saying that the U.S. Mint has to sell these coins at their cost. And people don't believe me on that. So I pulled up the current law. This law has been revised so many times. The current law right here. Okay. Silver coins. Sale price. The secretary shall sell the coins minted under, not may sell, shall sell the coins minted under subsection E to the public at a price equal to the market value of the bullion at the time of sale, which is the COMEX price where they get their 1,000-ounce silver bars. People who don't understand that, go look at the U.S. Mint videos. They get 1,000-ounce bars, and then they send them to their processors. Plus the cost of minting, marketing, and distributing such coins, including labor, materials, dyes, use of machinery, promotional, and overhead expenses. It says it's right there. There's no markup. It doesn't say plus the markup. No, it specifically says they're going to be selling them at cost. At cost. But listen to what Janet Yellen says. And again, I played this yesterday, but I got to play it again because it just flies in the face of the law.
The American Eagle Bullion coins are the flagship bullion products of the U.S. Mint. And the new American Eagle Bullion coin designs to mark this anniversary are really quite beautiful. Coin collecting, it said, is the only hobby where you can spend all your money and still have some left. Well, the American Eagle Bullion Program has actually generated money for the American people. More than $30 billion through the sale of these coins. So thank you again for being a part of this wonderful.
Thank you again for being part of this illegal Ponzi scheme. Janet Yellen read the goddamn law right here. Right here. Section F, number 1, the sale price. What is the U.S. Mint legally obligated to sell these for? Cost. How did the U.S. Mint make $30 billion over the life of this program if they're selling at cost? Please, somebody explain to me what's going on. And anybody who has a Silver Eagle should get a rebate of that $30 billion. Don't you think? Absolutely. If you have a Silver Eagle, walk into the mint with your coin and say, hey, I want my rebate. I was part of the people who got gouged for the $30 billion. The U.S. Mint cannot profit off the production of Silver Eagles. It's illegal. Anyway, again, the big news over the weekend. I don't know what day. I didn't check it Monday or Tuesday, but it was sometime. I think it might have been on the weekend, so they didn't want you to see it, that they posted for October 850,000 ounces. They're supposed to post these weekly, but yeah, there's no law that makes them do that. So 850,000 ounces. It did in a week. Below their maximum production, but hey, it was something. What did they do for a month and a half? What did they do for a month and a half? Because 833 was the first week in September. And then they had nothing for a month and a half. This is insane. This has to end. We cannot move forward. Hey, I'm sorry, U.S. Mint, if you're trying to save Silver Eagles for the rest of the population. That's not your job. If the rest of the population is too stupid or you're hiding so much that they don't understand it, that's their fault. You have to follow the law and make coins in quantities to equal demand, period, exclamation point, and you can't mark them up. Silver Eagle premiums are at 100%, 90 to 100%. It's insane. Now, with the announcement that they actually turned on the machines again, remember, most of this stuff is machines. Very little human, maybe inspecting the coins is the only thing humans do. And check out the U.S. Mint videos on this. They're very proud of all their CNC machines that pump out these coins, and they stack them and they put them in the tubes. They do everything. All you have to do is turn it on. Oh, it's COVID, so we have to stop producing. Bullshit. Stop lying to the American people. Everybody contact the Bullion Program right here. Bullion Program. Phone number. Go to the U.S. Mint and go to customer service, and they give you the phone number, 202-354-6829, and say, what the hell is going on? All of a sudden, you post 850,000 coins that you made last week. That's great. But what were you doing the rest of the time? And will this 850,000 keep going forward? I don't want to see them shutting down in November again. In November and December. They're not allowed a 2-month vacation just because they work for the government. Well, we have to change the dies out. That takes 30 seconds. The dies are made. They should be made in process. All they're doing is changing the date. And maybe inscribing something on the bottom in the little notch below the coins that at some point they will be. Probably a cryptographic wallet number, which will be attached to you. You, the American person, you owe, if you have 1 silver ounce and 1 gold ounce at your U.S. Treasury account, which I think everybody will get as these banks collapse, it could be put on a wallet, and you can sell 1/10 of your silver or use it to buy things on your phone. That's more and more looking like that's the way it's going to go down. But the question is the U.S. Mint going to continue to break the law as we get closer and closer to that D-Day when everything stops? I don't know. Clearly, they're assisting J.P. Morgan and friends and the banksters, and mainly BlackRock and Virtu Financial right now, at rigging the silver price. Congratulations. You guys are great. Good job. But we have seen, even though the OCC data, which is put up by a JP Morgan guy, by the way, number 2 at the Office of Comptroller of Currencies, is a high-ranking JP Morgan guy, they changed the data. See, all the way up to Q4 of 2021, we were onto them. We saw that Bank of America had leased over 1 billion ounces of silver from JP Morgan. And then I believe all the way up to the fourth quarter. Now, the fourth quarter, 1 year ago, they put on fourth quarter leases for 1 year only. These are below 1 year leases in the fourth quarter of 380 million ounces of silver. That's what's deliverable in this quarter. Where are they getting them? They are draining every warehouse on the planet. Where's it going? It's either Buffett or Musk, or both of them are working together, I believe. And a lot of this is going back to the U.S. Mint also. And Ventures Gibson is making silver eagles and then tucking them away in a warehouse. Illegally. And for us who are buying silver eagles, she's made $30 billion off us. Illegally. This is insane. So keep an eye on it. Silver will not ever go over $30 until the COMEX shuts down. Just keep that in mind. The COMEX is a derivative market. Chris Giancarlo, the head of the CFTC, said something which basically gave up the ghost. When he was talking about cryptocurrencies, he says, yes, we have to have derivative markets, otherwise the price would just go up. That's what he said. I have a video of it. Otherwise, the price would just go up. That explains everything about these rigged markets. With derivatives, it controls the price rise. It can control the price fall. It decides who are the winners and who are the losers, especially if you have unlimited pockets like the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and they don't have to report derivatives. Every COMEX contract is a derivative. This is insane world we're living in. It's insane times. If you want free markets in the future, we got to get rid of all the futures and options and derivatives. And it's very easy to do. Let the banks crash. You don't have to crash the banks. They're already knee-deep in shit. Just stop bailing them out. And you think there'll ever be a derivative again when people lose their checking account, savings account, 401k, everything? There'll never be another derivative. Well, 10 years. I'd say 10 years before we get back to a very limited derivative market. Meaning like farmers will be able to hedge the crop of corn. You know, that wasn't always the case. It is not necessary to run a business with a derivative market. Andy Schechtman uses derivatives when he buys big chunks of silver because he's all about, he's a big dealer. And he's going to hedge his price so that he doesn't get hit by the movement in the price. I get that. But it is not a necessary step for a market. And with the amount of manipulation, no one on the planet has the ability to monitor this shit. Obviously, because the CFTC can't do it and doesn't do it with massive amounts of derivatives. Ted Butler had a suggestion decades ago, actually. No more than 2,000 contracts should be owned by any of the biggest players. 2,000 contracts is what? 10 million ounces? I think that's impossible to... I have 19 things that need to change for the silver market to be freely traded. And they won't do any of them. One of the biggest is a completely open book to know exactly who's doing the trading, how much trading they're doing, and why they're doing it. Is it pure speculation? We should know. Is it to cover, are they legitimate hedges where you actually know who owns the silver, who owns the gold, who owns the oil? Or is it rehypothecated? There's 10 owners for that silver. There's 10 owners for that gold. It's part of an ETF. Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs came out and said it flat out. The silver shorts on the COMEX are hedging the SLV ETF. That is completely illegal. Why? Because they don't own it. They don't own that silver. It's owned by the shareholder. The person who bought the SLV share has ownership of that silver through that derivative form, which is a stock. And if BlackRock wants to try to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and JP Morgan and Virtu Financial, Vinny Viola, that's the problem. That's the problem we're in. So no, silver is not going to be freely traded until it gets out of the derivative world. Completely. We'll see what happens. Again, this is just, why don't they write, this is the OCC, why don't they just write JP Morgan cover up, JP Morgan cover up, Bank of America cover up, right over the top of these gigantic lines. what they did is they added gold to all the silver data. And there's some palladium and platinum. But this is all gold. So they merged these two things together, because what would have happened is you would see these lines and they would go down massively in the past year. Massively. Because it's only a 1-year lease that Bank of America put these things on. By the end of this year, Bank of America will be completely out of silver. No more silver derivatives for Bank of America, and we'll not know it. We're not going to know it because they lumped in the gold. Who did it? The guy from JP Morgan, who's at the Office of Comptroller and Currency, the number 2 guy. I've talked about him quite a bit. Anyway, that's the way the game is played. Interesting to watch. Biden's got a little problem for the inflation numbers this quarter, which will be announced after the election. But they're going up, and Biden knows they're going up. He is selling everything he can out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. You know, if he keeps going at this rate, we're going to be out of strategic petroleum by the end of the year, which is, I mean, the reality is this is another way to rig the markets. We get mad at Saudi Arabia or Putin for rigging the prices higher. This is a way to rig the price lower, dump massive amounts of oil on the market. But it's not working. It's not having the same effect anymore, as you can tell from this data. As a matter of fact, let's take a look. In September, it went from $3.70 to $3.50 to $3.70. So it went up 20 cents. But look what's going on this month, from 3.7 to 3.78 to 3.87, just 10 cents. And it went to 3.9. And we're still got 2 weeks left. Now, I understand that for the inflation numbers, they rig everything, so it's not going to matter. We all know. I mean, they even tell us, look at the last year. Last 2 years, gasoline was at $2, and now it's at $4. So do we see 50% inflation for the last 2 years? No, they tell us it's 5 or 6 or 7, and now it's up to 8%. But we're paying double the amount for gas, double in the last 2 years. That's crazy. The world is crazy. What are we doing? Hey, I had an interview with Dave over at X22 Report. That should be posted any moment. Go to x22report.com. It'll be in the spotlight interviews. Great discussion on what's going on between the battle between the good guys and the bad guys. Really interesting stuff. Hey, if you want to join the private road at Road to Ruta to get vaccine stuff on all this action, go to roadtoruta.com, hit subscribe today, and I'll send you this coin, the Silver Ruta coin, the coolest coin ever made. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.